the Planning and Transportation Commission, the regular meeting of September 14th, 2022. And we would like to talk about the resolution preceded by the communications.
Pursuant to AB 361, this meeting will be held with the option to attend by teleconference or in person. Members of the public may provide live public comment by submitting a speaker card prior to the start of public comment on that item. Speakers may address items that are not on the agenda during the oral communications portion of the meeting. Spoken comments via computer or smartphone will be accepted through the Zoom app. To address the commission, go to zoom.us/join. Meeting ID 916-4155-9499. When you wish to speak, click raise hand. To offer comments using a regular phone, call 1-669-900-6833 and enter meeting ID 916-4155-9499. When you wish to speak on an item, hit *9 on your phone so we know that you wish to speak. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And would please call the roll.
Chair Lowing,
Present.
Vice Chair Suma,
Present.
Commissioner Chang,
Here.
Commissioner Hackman,
Here.
Commissioner Regdal,
Here.
Commissioner Ruparvar,
Present.
Commissioner Templeton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Now it's a section of the meeting that is oral communications for anyone that has a comment that they want to make on an item that is not on the agenda. I see no one in chambers. How about online, Medina?
We do not have anyone online, but I see a gentleman in the back just coming in. Let me quickly check with him just a second.
No, he said no.
Then we don't have any oral communications.
Okay, moving along on the agenda, are there any agenda changes, additions, or deletions other than that one that was cut a few days ago?
Yeah, none that aren't already known. Posted on the agenda.
Okay, great. Then we'll move on to the official city report.
Yes. Good evening, Amy French, Chief Planning Official. The Planning Commission had continued the ADU ordinance, Chapter 1809 update to this meeting tonight. However, state legislation has happened with respect to ADUs. And so waiting on the governor's desk. And so we put that off until September 28th, which is closer to signature deadline. And we're adding a couple of code changes to address that legislation. Okay, so then the next meeting is October 12th. We have a proposal from the Sobrato organization at 3200 Park Boulevard. And then in late October, we're looking to have a couple of EIR scoping meetings, one for the housing element and one for the PHZ or planned home zoning proposed at 660 University. This is one that had already been to the council on a pre-screening. And then in November, we'll be bringing back the comprehensive plan implementation plan, which will be an action item. And then we do intend to provide an update on the recently passed or soon to be passed state legislation pertaining to zoning and land use. And then finally, we did review the retail study, and I alluded to this at the last meeting, an administrative draft, and we're working with the consultants. We want to do a little bit more stakeholder outreach before we go live and tweak that report a bit and go to a public study session with the commission. Finally, we do have the CUP thresholds, which the commission addressed at the last meeting, that ordinance going forward to City Council on November 7th. And then there are other council items of interest in October and November, which are the California Building Code adoption with local amendments. We have the permanent parklet program discussion and direction, the open space home that you had seen at the August meeting, 575 Los Trancos. So we'll need representation on that. And then we have, the NV cap refined preferred alternative. So quite a lot of items of interest coming in the next couple of months.
Do we have any of those sort of penciled in, or they're just upcoming? I mean, not specific dates yet, right?
Well, they're penciled in into our chart internally. So
Okay.
we're kind of juggling and finding
But
slots.
NVCAP, for example, is planned to come back before the end of the year.
To the council is a plan.
Okay, to the council,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, so
Okay,
some of those items were council.
Other questions for the staff? from commissioners? Any from our online commissioners? No? Okay. Then we have a transportation representative.
Hi, thank you, Rafael Rios, Senior Engineer with the Office of Transportation. Just a couple of minor updates I had. I mentioned during the last meeting that the intersection of Charleston and Louis Montrose traffic signal was going to be turned on, and that has been turned on and in operation. And upcoming switchover at Charleston and El Camino, that signal will be switched over. It's currently tentatively scheduled for September 22nd, and that's on pace. And then, as previously mentioned, the intersections at Wilkie and Fabian are targeting towards the end of October or in November for switchovers those locations. One item that I mentioned during the last meeting, I need to correct myself. I misspoke. I mentioned the future item of on-demand transit service. My notes were incorrect last time, and that's actually going to be an item for City Council and not for this body. But we are still on track for the Muni Code cleanup with respect to bicycles and the study session for the high incident locations. So.
You said you're still what on that last one? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, we're still planning to come to this commission with the Muni Code cleanup and the high incident location items.
Yeah. Any estimate yet of the timing of that? The high estimate collision?
We were hoping to bring them together on the same day. So I think we were originally planning for October, but that might get pushed into November. I need to find out from our planners on how they're doing with the Muni Code item, as well as we're trying to assign staff to the high incident locations. So.
Yeah, obviously, we want to get to that, and we're running out of year in our annual plan. So we'd like to get to it this year.
Yes.
Okay, questions for transportation representative? Yeah, Commissioner Rectal.
Yeah, I have a question about the light at Charleston and Montrose, and is that synchronized with Fabian and Charleston?
It is not yet currently. It was originally all three of them, or the one with Fabian as well as Wilkie. All three of those got delayed to October, but we kind of rushed to get Louis Montrose up with the school season, so it's not fully up, and we don't have communication to it. And we need the communication to get the coordination going. And also there's detection issues and temporary detection measures being used at Fabian. So once we get everything completed, we'll be able to establish coordination, but there's not currently currently operating.
As long as in the long run we get that, because right now when that light at Montrose is red, sometimes that causes traffic to back up and it affects the Fabian intersection.
Okay, so you're talking about so for westbound traffic is backing up to Fabian?
Correct. Yeah.
Can I ask you what time of the day that was in general?
Yeah, 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay, in the PM. Okay, I'll take a look into that, see what we can do.
Okay. I mean, I understand during construction there may be some transients, but the most important thing is long term.
Okay.
And okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, if no further questions, then we're concluding on the city reports, and we'll move to our first and actually only action item now, which is a public hearing at around 1237 Antonio Road.
Excuse me,
Sorry, go ahead.
Chair. Agenda item 1, did I miss the resolution on the agenda item 1?
Yeah, that's because I really wanted you to remind me.
Oh, sorry. I was delinquent, but I'm reminding you now. May I make a motion?
You may.
Thank you. I'll move adoption of a resolution authorizing use of teleconferencing for Planning and Transportation Commission meetings during COVID-19 state of emergency.
Second.
There's a lot of enthusiasm about this item tonight, so I'm glad to see that full participation. So it's been moved and seconded by 2 people that we do this resolution. Any questions or comments? No? Okay, let's do a roll call on that, please.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Heckman,
Yes.
Chair Lawing,
Yes.
Commissioner Rekdal,
Yes.
Commissioner Ruparvar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Suma,
Yes.
Commissioner Templeton.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, so we've caught up on that. So this is on 1237 San Antonio Road. It's kind of unusual in the sense that we are going to recommend a comprehensive plan amendment for the portion, and staff will cover this relative to the home key housing project. So let's have a staff report on that to kind of kick it off.
Yes, good evening. I have Jody Gerhart, who is with she is the manager of current planning for the Planning and Development Services Department. She will be sharing her screen and presenting on behalf of the department and those who cannot be with us. Melissa McDonough wrote the report for tonight, but she is unavailable to be here in person. Jody?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Jody Gerhart, Manager of Current Planning. We also have Chantal Cotton Gaines with the City Manager's Office is here as well, if you have any questions about the Home Key project. But this evening, we're talking about a comprehensive plan amendment at 1237 San Antonio. And I will move forward. So as you know, the Home Key project, the city was awarded over 26 million in a grant to construct an interim housing shelter on a portion of the former LATP sites known as Area C. With that, there's a need to move green waste to a different portion of Area C, and that creates the need for the comp plan amendments. So showing you the location here, circled in red is that Area C that will house both home key and green waste. At the very tip of the triangle there, you see the portion of the site that is located in the public conservation lands comp plan amendment designation. And that's the area that we're discussing tonight. The majority of the site is already has a comp plan designation of major institution, special facility. So just to give you a perspective of where the Home Key project would be located, it's on the eastern portion of the site. The front of the site facing San Antonio Road is where the housing project would be located. And then green waste would be moved to the back portion of the site. And you'll see sort of the line in the middle of the green waste project. That's the line of the comp plan designations. The green waste is using the southern portion of the site. And then on the northern portion, there's been various construction staging and truck parking happening in that area. So it is already a disturbed location. So just a quick overview about the comp plan itself. It does contain the city's, official policies on land use, community design, and fire environment, et cetera. It's focused on the physical form of the city. City staff use it to regulate development, and it's used by citizens to understand the city's long-range plan for different geographic areas. The plan also provides the basis for the city's capital improvement program. Regarding comp plan amendments, given state regulations, we are able to amend the comp plan up to 4 times each year. And amendments are initiated by property owners, PTC, council, or staff. This particular one's being initiated by staff in coordination with the Home Key project. All amendments require public hearings by PTC and council, and they're evaluated for their environmental impacts through CEQA. So this particular comprehensive plan amendment is for approximately an 11,800 square foot portion of the subject site to be changed from the public conservation land to major institutions / special facilities. And this change would allow green waste to fully utilize their new new portion of the site once Home Key is built. And just to go over the definitions of why we need this change, conservation land as it's defined in the comp plan. Its primary purpose is for preservation and enhancement of the natural state of the land, and it's for plants and animals. You can use it also for recreation and educational activities, but not other uses. Whereas the major institution designation is intended for governmental, academic, hospital, and other city facility type uses. And so that's why we're suggesting the change to that designation. For the CEQA component, given that this is a Home Key project, we're using Home Key funds, and green waste does need to be relocated to accommodate the Home Key project. For all of those reasons, the project is exempt from CEQA, given various laws around the Home Key program. And with that, staff is recommending that the PTC take the following action. We recommend that we're asking the PTC to recommend that City Council adopt the attached resolution amending the comprehensive plan land use designation at 1237 San Antonio Road to create alignment between the use of the land and its designation. So with that, I do have Melissa's information here. She's the one who wrote the report, and my information as well, if needed. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Wondering if there's any public comment?
Yes, we have one public comment at the moment, and it's Herb Barak.
Okay, let's go ahead with that. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Lowing. Good evening, Chair Lowing, Vice Chair Suma, Commissioners. I sent you an email letter communication earlier today with a copy to the staff person, Melissa McDonough, but it did not occur to me.
Get really close to the mic.
Okay, how's that?
Way better.
I sent you a letter earlier today on the subject with a copy to the to Melissa McDonough, but I neglected to send it to any managers further up the line, so I don't know if Ms. Gerhardt has seen a copy of my letter. But I was concerned about this, of whether it's necessary to make this proposed change, and also what is the existing land use designation for the entire site, because that's going to be carried through in any resolution if you do make a change. The comprehensive plan adopted a land use map. I printed off a copy from the online version, and the entire site at 1237 San Antonio has a land designation of public conservation land. It doesn't show any part of it as being in major institution special facilities. Now, a long time ago, the Los Altos sewage treatment plant was located on the site. In about 1972, there was a merger to create the Regional Water Quality Control Plant. And over time, the Palo Alto acquired the entire site, I think first half of it by utilities and then the rest by the general fund. And so it's reasonable that what's in the printed comprehensive plan is accurate, that sometime along the way that was changed for the whole thing to be public conservation land. And since I hadn't had the time to do the legislative history myself, it seems to me if you're going to go ahead with a map that shows the two uses, it should be clear that that is what the current status is now. Second thing is, I don't see the reason for needing the change, since I believe it's part of the project to move the green waste, and therefore it's exempt as part of the Home Key project. And finally, if you do think it's necessary to do it, I would put a time limit on it and then revert back to its current status at the end of the green waste use, which is June 30th, 2026. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there no other public commenters?
Yeah, that concludes public comments.
Okay. Then let's go to the commission for, you can do questions and comments at the same time. Commissioner Heckman.
Thank you, Chair. I first wanted to welcome Ms. McDonough to the PTC. I think I've been on the PTC about 2.5 years, and it's the first time I've seen you here. So we're happy to have you and a representative from the city manager's office. I don't remember the home key project itself coming through us, and I saw an artist rendering of it in Ms. Gerhardt's slideshow, and it looks sizable and with an excellent capacity. And I wondered if you would just tell us, briefly what those series of buildings will house. I assume there's some places to sleep. Maybe there's a place to eat. Maybe can you just give us a thumbnail of what we were looking at?
Yes, so I can give you an overview of the process, and then Chantal can probably give you a better overview of the details. But related to the process, Home Key, given the grant funding, it was deemed to be consistent with the zoning code automatically without much review. We did, and that's a state requirement. We did take it to the ARB as an informational item. And so they were able to review it and make some suggestions, and staff has obviously made some suggestions as well, given that the city is the landowner. And Chantal can give you some more details about the number of units and things of that nature.
Thank you, Ms. Gerhardt, and thank you, commissioners. My name is Chantal Cotton Gaines, Deputy City Manager, and I'm filling in for our new staff person, Ms. Melissa McDonough, who is actually out of the office. So thank you on behalf of both of us. To your question about the actual project, it is 88 units. It is 24 family units, and I believe 64 are the remaining single family or single and couples units. And those are sleeping areas that have a bathroom included in them. The general site itself, I'm not sure if the commission is familiar with the Home Key site in Mountain View. It's on Leghorn, and it has community spaces. The idea for Life Moves and how they operate these shelters is it's a wraparound services model. So they're not just providing housing, they're also providing the services that individuals and families will need to get back on their feet and move into permanent housing and be successful in that effort. So there's a community space where they can do workshops and trainings. There are case management rooms, which can be used for any variety of services necessary for the individuals and families. There's usually some small playground for the children who are in the family area. And then there's also a kitchenette area. Food is not cooked on site. They bring food that's prepared at other places, but think continental breakfast at a hotel. It kind of looks like that, where you can always get something, microwave something, have services, just like snacks available. So that gives you a general sense of what the site looks like. Right now, it is proposed for up to 3 stories in certain parts of the site, and the site plan is being reviewed as we continue to go through the cost and budget, but still with the comments provided by the ARB as a guide in addition to that for staff. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize for misidentifying you. I thought I had heard Ms. Gerhardt say that your identity was listed in our staff report. And
good.
Ms. McDonough's is, and unfortunately, so I'm looking at you on a screen about 5 feet in front of me, and unfortunately, your name at the bottom of that screen is too small for my eyes my age to read. And so
it's A-okay. Thank you.
Made that mistake, but it's nice to meet you, Ms. Gaines.
Likewise.
All right, a follow-up question for Ms. Gerhardt. Actually, a couple of them. So a site, which incidentally I've been by 100 times and never even noticed it before. So I had to look for it. But what I saw when I was out there is green waste is pretty well spread out over a good portion of that triangle. And in fact, I think your aerial showed that. And I was just curious, I think they're going to have to consolidate a bit to fit on the back. And I was just, I was imagining that those discussions had already taken place and it shouldn't be a problem. I think the containers they have out there are pretty well spaced apart and they could be brought closer together, but that's the plan, right?
Yes, absolutely. Throughout this project, we've had the Assistant Director of Public Works, Karen North, involved. She works directly with Green Waste and, advocates for them to make sure that they have sufficient space and works with them, where needed to move things around.
Okay. And then the final question I had was the access in the after condition, home key project gets built, Green Waste is at the back of the lot. Did one of your diagrams show us access to the Green Waste facility? I assume it's up the long side of the triangle, but maybe not.
We do. I think this, here I can share again. I think the site plan that I have right this minute, it is showing a driveway on the northern side that would get you back to the Green Waste site. There is a driveway on the southern side that would be used for home key. We have already talked about blocking off the driveways so they do not connect. We want them to be 100% separated. And there are still some revisions that are happening to this site plan.
All right, thank you.
Other commissioners? Commissioner Suma, Vice Chair Suma.
Thank you. I just had a question for staff about the letter and comments from the member of the public. And my take on his concern was that it would just correct the legislative record and it wasn't substantive in any way to the project. Is staff concerned about that or correcting that if it needs to be corrected? I don't know.
Yes, let me share a map of the location of the comp plan designations, because there definitely are two designations on this site. The majority of the site is the blue, the major institution designation. Only the tip of the triangle is the public conservation land. As I said, the home key project was deemed, in conformance with the zoning code sort of automatically, but we've been given advice by our city attorneys that we do still need to amend the comprehensive plan to allow green waste operations to happen in the conservation land area. But it is just the tip of the triangle.
Okay, thank you. So the inconsistency that the member of the public was concerned about doesn't exist?
This is the comprehensive map. I think it's, if you're looking at an 8.5 by 11, it might look different, but we've zoomed in. So.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying that.
Commissioner Chang.
Commissioner Suma asked my question, so I do not have a question any longer.
Commissioner Reckdahl.
Yeah, as a former parks guy, I get very nervous when people build near the Baylands, but this is a big exception. This is a really good project. I strongly support it. I think it's a very good use of public land. I do have some questions. I'm curious about this CEQA, the fact that CEQA does not apply to it. Does that just mean we don't have to do the paperwork, or does that mean that it doesn't have to follow any environmental regulations?
It's a little bit of both. Mainly, we don't have to do the paperwork, but as the landowner, we're certainly going to, take care of our own city. And so we are building in, stormwater C3 requirements and things of that nature. We're working closely with Public Works on those types of things. But the state did deem these projects exempt from CEQA, and so no paperwork is needed.
Now, the exemption for CEQA runs out in middle of 2024. Does that apply to when the project is approved or when it's constructed?
Jody, do you want me to take that one? Oh, sorry.
Certainly.
Go ahead, Mr. Yang.
Yeah, so the CEQA exemption, the point in time that it matters is the time of approval.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about timeline. If there's construction delays, this will not be a problem then. That's good. What about runoff? Are we capturing all the runoff that's coming from this site?
As I said, this project will have to adhere to our standard C3 requirements, and that handles the stormwater runoff. And Public Works is very involved in helping us with that.
Okay. I was curious about the tribal consultation. Is that for all land in Palo Alto, or is that just for certain lands?
That's required whenever you amend a comprehensive plan. It's part of state law. The process for amending your general plan requires tribal consultation.
Okay. Okay. I looked at the diagrams. I didn't see any playground. Chanel, you mentioned that there would be a playground on site for families. Is that part of the plan right now?
Ms. Gerhard, are you able to pull it back up? I'm not sure how much you can see in the site plan, but it's not a huge playground, to just clarify as well. It's usually like a climbing structure, and I don't even think there's a slide. So it's just the area for children to play.
Okay. Do we expect a large number of children in the site? We have a large number of units, but are they mostly going to be adults, or will there be families there?
So the amount of units like specifically designated for families, there are 24 of them, and there's flexibility around how that space can be used depending on the size of families. It's a evolving population where it's not like the numbers exactly right now is what we'll always experience, but working with our partner Life Moves, who is working regionally with a lot of our unhoused residents, their experience is that some of the larger families often don't have a place to go. And so the way that these units are built will allow for a larger family to be able to be together, but then it can also be sort of subdivided, I guess, for the lack of a better term, as a unit for smaller families if there were not large families that had a need at that time. So the design that Life Moves and their consultant team have worked with allows for flexibility, but we don't have a set number of children at any given time that we can say that they will have. We just kind of have estimates based off what they've provided. Okay.
I mean, overall, I think this is a really good location. One bad thing about it is that there are no nearby stores or other amenities. And there's going to be quite a few people there. There's a bus line. Will it be a shuttle, a designated shuttle if people want to go down to piazzas and buy something? Or how are people going to buy or locate shopping facilities?
So right across the street from the site, there is a Mountain View shuttle that comes and it gets you closer to, think of like Costco and things along the San Antonio route. So that's probably the primary source of public transportation. But the city council and the mayor have also been in conversations with VTA in hopes that we can get even a shuttle line more frequently and at extended hours that can go up and down that corridor. The Mountain View site that I mentioned, which is on Leghorn, is right off of San Antonio as well. The Leghorn Street connects Rangsdorf and San Antonio and Mountain View. So there's also just opportunity for synergy with the multiple sites, and we're hoping that can be built in over time. But right now, status quo is there's the shuttle across the street is the closest public transportation.
Okay. And we don't anticipate a dedicated shuttle or Palo Alto shuttle or anything like that. It'll be just VTA or Mountain View.
At this time, we don't have any additional ones built in.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to getting this built. I think there's a huge demand for this, and I'm glad we're part of this. So, thank you.
Commissioner Rupavar.
Thank you. I agree. I'm supportive of this, of staff's recommendation on this. I had just one clarification question for Ms. Gerhart. Member of the public seemed to indicate that the lease with Green Waste is coming up. Can you shed some light into that as to what that was in reference to, and were they leaving? Is it coming up in January? Like, what was that all about?
Yeah, we don't have Public Works with us here this evening, but generally contracts, go for a number of years and get renewed on a regular basis. So I can only assume that that's what we're talking about. But I can, I assume it'll be renewed, or, it'll go out for RFP for another company, but we're always going to have need for this type of facility.
Got it. Okay, that's extremely helpful. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, I had a question that was around transportation as well. Do we have any prediction from Life Moves about how many actual vehicles might be used there? Is it 20% or?
Ms. Gaines, or I can try.
Go for it. I'll tag on.
So I think we have about 22 spaces, I want to say, that are proposed on the site. So they are not expecting a high level of car use. This is sort of, the first level of housing, for unhoused people. This would be the first location.
That, but it sounds like that's the number. And people could be living in their vehicles now, and so they come there and take their vehicle with them. So it kind of segues into the other thing, is because I noticed that there's no bus transportation on weekends. So it's a mile and a half away. That people might also get bikes, which is really easy, but they might not be able to afford bikes. So there is a limited transportation. So that was just a concern. But I thought that some would probably have bikes, and it seems like the estimate is about 25. I'm sorry, cars. It seems like the estimate's about 25%.
Yes, and we do have storage for bikes as well.
Yeah, I figured that.
And if, Mr. Chair, if I can weigh in as well, we are having dialogues with Life Moves to understand how their Mountain View site is functioning related to vehicles, because that's the closest that we can have to try to predict what we can expect.
Sure.
We know that a lot of the clients that are at the site at night are not at the site during the day. So the parking typically is used for staff, is what Life Moves have shared with us. And then in the evening, that's when clients will be coming back. So those that do have cars, the parking will probably be filled with them in the evening time. Ms. Gerhardt and I are really asking a lot of questions around that, though, to try to understand if the demand and the number of spaces match, at least closely. And also, we are aware that the unhoused population in Palo Alto is split between vehicle dwellers as well as those that are not currently dwelling in a vehicle. Thus, our safe parking programs are available, et cetera. And so we're really trying to look at it for a Palo Alto specific lens and see what we can do given the site size.
Okay. Yeah, this is Life Moves is just a phenomenal organization, and this facility is just so badly needed here. The fact that you're taking someone who's currently homeless and giving them a place is the first step. Maybe even double weight the second step, which is that they get services and they figure out what's it going to take. What's it going to take to get you out of the situation that you're in? So, and it's time limited, which has got its good side and its bad side. And the sense of the good side is that we need to figure this out in the next 6 months. So it's phenomenal. Way back, I was part of the predecessor organization to Life Moves when I first got involved in social action in the city, frankly, at Urban Ministry of Palo Alto, UMPA. And I was on the board there, and we didn't think we were going to be able to fund this too long to get real services. So we merged with Envision and in San Jose and stayed on that board for a while. And then they merged it. I left at that point. So did the other two that helped merge this thing. And it went to Life Moves. And each of those steps was just a great move for Palo Alto, because it just gave us more and more capabilities here, as we're showing right now, as they're showing. I'm just watching. But it's just a phenomenal organization in terms of what they can pull off to help, people that are, really deserving of some need. So I couldn't be happier to support this minor adjustment to the comp plan in favor of what this brings to the people in our community. Vice Chair Suma.
Thank you very much. Yes, I concur with my colleagues, and this is a wonderful project. I'm very excited that we're going to have this. I was a little concerned about the parking, but I think by conferring with Life Moves, you'll understand how many of the clients of this facility would have cars. I was just wondering if you find a greater need, is there could more of the green waste site be utilized or something? Because they are pretty isolated out there without much transportation, public transportation at all. Is there any wiggle room there?
I think we're trying to make sure that green waste has sufficient space to do the transfers.
Asking those questions to Life Moves is.
Oh.
We got it. Okay. So yeah, I think we need to make sure that green waste has sufficient space. But it's possible that something could be worked out between, daytime and nighttime, who's using the site when, and those sorts of things. So that's just going to have to be something that happens over time, though.
Okay, thank you so much.
Commissioner Heckman.
Thank you. So the home key project actually isn't really before us tonight for review. So I particularly appreciate, because it never was, that Ms. Gerhart and Ms. Gaines have provided a lot of information to us. We sometimes feel like we're in the dark a little more than maybe we should be. And so this has been really useful to us. But really what is in front of us tonight on this agenda item is green waste is using a site owned by the city in Palo Alto. And I think the city has learned that the back corner of that site that green waste is using actually has this public conservation designation, even though it's not being conserved, it's paved, it's being used in a kind of industrial way, so it's misdesignated. And I think what happened here is maybe the home key project is what brought this to the city's attention as we tried to figure out, okay, home key is going to go on the front, green waste is going on the back. Let's look at our general plan, our comp plan. Hey, we've got a little issue in the back. We need to make the general plan, the comp plan designation consistent with the use that's out there, which is the use that the city wants to continue, which is to use it for the waste sorting for the city of Palo Alto, which is what green waste is doing. And I agree with Ms. Gerhart that current contract may expire in 2026, but it's either going to be renewed or somebody's going to keep doing that kind of work. We're going to need sorting in 2027, and that's the logical place to keep doing it. And so so that's really our focus, is to bring the comp plan in line with the actual use of this property. And I think that staff has done a good job of explaining that aspect of it in the planning report and here in the oral report. I'm fully supportive. It makes great sense to me, and I'd be prepared to make a motion to adopt staff's recommendation if the rest of the commission is ready for that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And your characterization was exactly right. It's lovely that we're getting to this via the project that is going to go in there. But you're right in terms of the focus of the memo of the motion. So that's the motion. Is there a second? And I'd be happy to second it. So we'll go with that and then have further discussion if anybody else wants to. I don't see any lights on screen or in chambers. So let's go to a roll call vote. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Chang was ready to go.
So again, just to make it clear, because I think, when I first saw this, I was like, what? We're going to take conservation, land that's supposed to be conserved and change it to something else. This land, as I learned after reading the report, is not being used in that way right now. It is paved over. And so this is a no-brainer decision, because it's just about bringing the comp plan into alignment with reality. It's not land that would easily be rehabilitated into a state where it could be conserved either. So I support the motion.
Commissioner Templeton?
I agree with everything Commissioner Chang just said, but I also want to share that I've had a chance to get to know a little bit more about Life Moves at my day job, and they do amazing work, and we're really lucky that we found a spot that will work. And I think this is a minor change and will have big impact. So I'm really glad we're doing this.
Okay. All right, let's go to a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Heckman,
Yes.
Chair Lawing,
Yes.
Commissioner Regdal,
Yes.
Commissioner Rupervar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Suma,
Yes.
Commissioner Templeton.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Very efficient and net for a good cause.
Thank you.
Yep. Next item on the agenda is a couple of sets of minutes, summary meeting from July 13 and draft verbatim from August 10. And so we'll take those in order and note if you were absent on either of those days when you make your vote. So let's have a first vote from Commissioner Heckman.
Move approval of the July 13th draft summary meeting minutes as revised.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those minutes. Are there any recusals or abstentions? Commissioner Templeton?
I'm just saying, yes, I was not there that day, so I'll abstain.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's take that to a roll call vote then. Dina?
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Heckman,
Yes.
Chair Lawing,
Yes.
Commissioner Regdal,
Yes.
Commissioner Rupervar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Suma.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
601.
601, correct. Thank you.
If I may, Chair, move approval of the August 10th, 2022 verbatim meeting minutes as revised.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, or abstentions? I don't think there are any abstentions that day. Abstention from Commissioner Chang? Yeah. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Chang,
Abstain.
Commissioner Heckman,
Yes.
Chair Lawing,
Yes.
Commissioner Regdal,
Yes.
Commissioner Rupervar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Suma,
Yes.
Commissioner Templeton.
Yes.
Motion carries 601.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so unless we have a lot of commissioner questions, comments, and answers, then it's going to be a short meeting. So we have committee items. Any committee items? Don't think so. Okay, then commissioner questions, comments, announcements, and then we'll talk about future agenda. Any of those? Commissioner Heckman.
So let me ask my acting director of planning and my two former park commissioners. Do we have the rental pond shrubbery trimming on anybody's work plan yet?
Do we have the what?
The rental pond. At our last meeting, I commented that it's becoming overgrown and needs to be cleared out so that people can more comfortably walk around those lovely ponds. So I'm
I
hoping
thought
that
you
we can get
agreed to
that-
go to the Parks Commission and make a long speech about that to have a real impact.
All right. Let me ask Ms. French, is there a planning staffer who staffs that parks meeting?
I'm sorry, I missed that. A
Oh.
Parks and Recreation Commission meeting?
Yeah, is there a particular planning staffer who?
I think we have to contact the other
I'll take
department.
the action.
You have to file a complaint
but
and then
I'll
it'll
take the
get
action
done.
To rectify that.
Okay, I appreciate that, Commissioner Recto.
Okay, any other announcements or anything? Then I think we've already talked about future agenda items unless you want to get more specific about the next two items, next two meetings.
Oh, I don't think it's necessary to be
Okay.
at that specific, but just to say that I'm sure you're all interested in the state legislation that is going through as it does every year. So we'll all be watching that and hope to bring back a robust session to cover that. Another thing I might mention, it's not our meeting, but the Santa Clara County is having, and I forget the acronym, it's HLUET meeting is happening tomorrow at, I think 10 in the morning. They're looking at the Stanford Community Plan. So just to be aware of that. I know that the city city staff prepared comments, reviewed the plan and prepared comments for transmission to the county on that plan.
So Hewlett, which Ms. French just mentioned, is it's a subcommittee of the Board of Supervisors. It's the Housing and Land Use Committee. I think it has two of
There's an
the
E in there,
supervisors.
too. Housing land use.
I don't know.
E.
I can't remember what the ET is.
Yeah. Any case.
But anyway, it's their subcommittee that vets land use issues before they go to the full board. So a lot of action at that committee.
So if anyone wants that Zoom addressed, I'm happy to send that out. I have it on my calendar too.
Please do. Yeah.
Okay.
What time does it start again?
I believe it's 10 in the morning.
Okay, any other items?
No other items from staff.
Okay, anything else from commissioners? Otherwise, I think we'll take an early adjournment. We're adjourned.
Totally.